Hey, what's up, team? This is Eddie Gray, that Logic Pro guy, and today we're talking about the biggest files in Logic Pro. When you first download the program, you're prompted to install what's called the essential content. This is about 2 gigabytes of plugins and drum kits to get you started
Mm.
making music. For some people, this will actually be enough, but if you really want to take advantage of the full program, I highly recommend that you download the rest of the sounds available. This is about 80 gigabytes, just a heads up. So if you don't have enough internal space, please consider getting an external hard drive. The sound library files can be found in several locations on your computer. In particular, these folders are library, audio, Apple loops, Apple. So these are all the Apple loops. This is about 8 gigabytes of information. Then you have computer, library, application support, logic, alchemy samples, and that's about 18 gigabytes more or less. Then we have library, application support, logic, EXS samples. So this is for the sampler plugin, what used to be called the EXS 24. And I believe that's somewhere over 40 gigabytes. And lastly, we have computer library application support logic ultra beat samples, and I think this is a nominal 2 gigabytes. So if you don't know how to download sounds yet, go to Logic Pro, Sound Library, and Open Sound Library Manager. What you're really looking for here on the right hand side is the status column. And you just want to make sure that you tick all the boxes on the left hand side that need to be enabled and go ahead and install everything there is to install. Now, I often get this question, should I download all of the sounds in Logic Pro? Is it completely necessary? It's 80 gigabytes. I don't have the space. But the fundamental answer is always a resounding yes. You will never be able to move quickly and efficiently in this program unless you have every single thing that there is to work with. You might decide one day to use a pattern, and because you don't have the proper patch, this could curtail your workflow. So we don't want that to happen to you. So let's figure out a solution. Are you going to download everything internally, or are we going to use an external drive? So here are the biggest files in Logic Pro. As I mentioned earlier, you've got the Apple loops. It's about 8 gigabytes. Alchemy samples, 16. Ultra beat samples, 1. We have EXS, about 43. The instrument library, 14 gigabytes. And this instrument library actually belongs to GarageBand. So more on that later. We're covering that in the next video. And then finally, components, which we covered in one of the last videos. And this has to do with third-party software. So I only have 2.71 gigabytes inside of components because I don't have that many plugins on this laptop. But if you are really big into downloading third-party software, this is going to be much larger for you. So now let's shift into relocating these sounds. Some of you need help in terms of space, and so we got to find a solution. You don't want to have 70 extra gigabytes living inside of your computer hard drive, and so we're going to go ahead and relocate these. Now, something you should know, if you don't have these formatted correctly, you're going to be in trouble. So I'm going to head over to Disk Utility, and if I click on my external hard drive, you can see that I have this formatted as APFS. So as of the date of this recording, you can format using APFS or Mac OS Extended Journaled. So once you get that out of the way, you simply have to go to Logic Pro, Sound Library, and relocate Sound Library. And this is where you get to make that crucial decision. Where am I going to send 70 gigabytes of information? Well, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Eddie, I thought you said there was 80 gigabytes. And that's right, there is 80 gigabytes, but there are a couple of pieces that stay behind when you choose to make this decision. The Apple loops will stay within their current location as it stands right now. The impulse responses will also stay there. And so this is how you get that complete number of 80 gigabytes. So once you relocate everything, where does it go? So I've gone through the process of doing this in advance, and this is my external hard drive. You can see the GarageBand instrument library. You can see the Alchemy samples were sent over, channel strip settings, For Logic Pro, EXS factory samples, the demo songs, all of the various presets, the project templates, not to be confused with the user templates, .exs sampler instruments, and you have the samples as well. Now, just a heads up, things can get very hairy from here. Let's say you had the information downloaded within your internal hard drive, and then you try to do this. Logic will actually download all the files on the external hard drive, but in my experience, they actually stayed in my computer as well, and I had to literally delete them manually. And so that was an absolute pain to have to go through all this. I think I've given you guys enough information to be able to navigate this jungle, but if something comes up, go ahead and hit me up in the comments, and I am more than happy to serve. Thank you guys so much for following this series. Listen, I don't ask for much. Please like the video. Go ahead and comment just to make sure the algorithm is catching up with this movement. And I will see you guys on the next one. I appreciate you. I'll see you later.